Blessings, everyone. This is Noemi, and I want to share a testimony, some wisdom about making a list. So, I was a young mom, and I remember this defining moment in my life with my firstborn. That he was, I was shopping. I think it was Stop and Shop at the time, and I had him into the front seat thing, and I'm walking and I'm trying to do some grocery shopping, and my son goes and he sees these reading glasses, and he's like, "Mommy, I I need one of those." And I said, "No, Shane, you don't need that because that's for older people who can't see to read." And he throws this epic conniption fit. I can't read. I need the glasses. I can't read. I'm blind. Like, it was epic. I was so embarrassed. My child was acting the fool. I wanted to strangle him. I wanted to beat him. I wanted to leave the store so I could beat him. Like, I was like, this is outrageous. And my son is screaming. He's like, I am blind. I need glasses. It was bad. It was bad. And I'm like trying to shop. It was very humiliating. Well, at the time, I didn't have a car, so I depended on like public buses and transportation and things like that. So it wasn't like I could be like, "Woo, boy, we are out and we're going home." Like, I had to finish what I came to do because it's too early for waiting for the bus, and it's just whatever. So that was a defining moment in my life. I had to sit down after that and be like, oh my goodness, God, how do I deal with this? I can't deal with this whole, I want this. Mommy, I want that. Mommy, I want this. Mommy, I want that. I'm like, we don't have money for that, Shane. We don't have money. Like, I can't do it. Whatever. So this idea came to me to write a list. And so I basically I set a rule for the family, for us, me and my two sons. And I said, listen, before we go shopping anywhere, we're gonna write a list, and you guys have to figure out now ahead of time what you want. If it's not on the list, we cannot get it. Okay, you miss out. So basically, what that did was it allowed for any type of financial discussions, debating, questions, or whatever. It set clear expectations for our shopping trip, and it was like this miraculous transformation. Like, my kids weren't arguing with me anymore. They were arguing with the list that didn't argue back. So there was no argument. And so we would have the list, we set the standard, and then we would go shopping. We're like, that's it. Everybody that wanted anything on the list, it's on the list. They're like, yes, mom. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's go. And the moment they would see something like, mom, I want this, I was like, and they were like, oh, okay. Like, it just made sense. Like, they're not going to argue with the list. The list cannot change its mind. They can persevere in arguing with me, mom, who loves them, and I might cave, but they can't argue with the list. So, needless to say, it was like a living, breathing miracle. My kids did not fight the list, and it was great. I had the amazing, well-behaved children at the store, and it was like, it's not on the list, and it's good. They understood. It was like it registered. It was something that was practical. It registered in their head. And now, this is something very important that happened regarding the list, and I praise God. I swear it was like divine intervention because I was a young mom. Um, the defining moment I believe a defining moment to this miracle, right, was when we were shopping one time. I believe it was Big Y, and I see something. So we got the list, we good, I see something that I want, and I'm like, ooh, look at this, right? And I want to say my son was like 7 years old at the time. Um, he's looking at me and he puts his hands on his hip and he's tapping his right foot on the floor, and he's like, "Is it on the list?" Right? And I looked at my son and I'm like, "No, no, it's not." And I thought about it for a moment, and then I put it back, and I'm like, "Come on, let's go, let's go, let's go," because it's not on the list. And I kept moving, right? And so I didn't get it. And here is the wisdom in that whole situation, because I've looked back at that and I'm like, wow, how many parents would have done what I did? They established a good rule in their house and it's working, and then they undermine their own authority, um, in their own self-centered selfishness. So how many parents would have been like, "Oh, well, I make money and I pay the bills, so I am going to get this no matter what." How many people would have undermined the rule, right? Because they can, because they're entitled to in their head. They would have, well, this is an exception. I don't always do this. I don't know when I'm going to be. They make some excuse, or they use some type of power trip, like, well, like, I make the money. Do you contribute to the family household? Do you, and they shame their kids for valuing a rule that you set. And so, what happens when parents do that, when they have this amazing rule that's working, and then they themselves undermine their own authority, is that they nullify the rule. Now the rule is subjective. It's based on, well, if you bring money to the house or not, or maybe your parents just full of shit. I don't know, like, they're just like, whatever. That is how kids interpret it. And so, by me allowing my son to hold me accountable to a rule that I myself set, I elevated the rule, and it stood firm. My kids understood it wasn't something that they disrespected later on in life. Like, that was just the rule. And so, um, I feel that that was a huge epic success in parenting, and I honestly sometimes I feel like I can't take the credit. Like, it was like this supernatural just grace and wisdom, maybe humility, you know, um that enabled me to put whatever it was back and respect the rule. And so, because I respected the rule, my kids learned that the rule was to continue to be respected. If I would have undermined my own rule, as many parents do, I teach my child that my rules can be broken, that my rules don't mean anything, really. It's a power trip for me to set rules. It's just to control you, but not me. And it sets this expectation in children that it's like, wow. And a lot of this stuff is done subliminally, just FYI. Children don't process logically these things at the moment. Um, but subliminally, you're basically saying, this rule is just to control you. I'm better than you. I'm more powerful than you. And again, it's just another way of disrespecting the child. It's showing the child disrespect. And when the child gets older and he feels he's got money and he can do things, he's going to be like, I could do what I want. Do you contribute to what I the things that I want? Like it's like, whoa, they will flip the script, and the person responsible for teaching their child that is the parent that undermined their own rules. So just another tidbit. That's my testimony on making a list.